This recipe is for mini pumpkin butterscotch muffins. The first thing is we need 3 3/4 cup plus 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. Remember, to get 3/4 cup, you use 1/2 plus 1/4 to get 3/4 cup. Always remember that you use another scoop and scoop your flour into your measuring cup. Do not put your measuring cup directly into the flour because that would pack the flour. Overfill and level. So there's my 1/2 cup. Quarter cup, and then 2 tablespoons. Next comes the sugar. I need 1/4 cup of granulated sugar and 1/4 cup of brown sugar. Remember, when you measure brown sugar, you always want to pack it, and I like to use the bag to press it in, and that way I don't get brown sugar all over my hands, and it keeps the ingredients more sanitary. So I packed it and I level it off. And if I did it right, it stays in shape, like so. And now we'll pause, and then I'll show you all the spices. One of the spices that we need is ground nutmeg, and sometimes you can buy your spices whole, like this one. And so it comes with whole nutmeg inside, and then you grind it yourself, and it came with this little mini grater inside. And so you just take the spice and rub it like so. And you can see, I think, the nutmeg falling down to there. The benefit of doing this, it only took me about 2 minutes to grind a 1/4 teaspoon, which I needed, but it gives you a more fresh, flavorful, and more aromatic spice. So if you can grind your own, it's much nicer to do that. So the rest of the spices that we need, this is a 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon, a 1/4 teaspoon of ginger, a 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. Then our leavening agents are a 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, an 1/8 teaspoon of baking powder, and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt for flavor. So I'll dump the rest of my dry ingredients into my bowl with the rest. And just stir this up with a whisk just to mix my dry ingredients together. And then, depending on how we're doing this lab, this may be the end of your day 1 lab. You just get all your dry ingredients mixed together, cover, label, and refrigerate. And I'll break up the rest of these brown sugar lumps, but we'll stop it right there. I need a 1/4 cup of melted butter, and don't forget, you can always use the lines on the butter to help you measure. 1 whole stick is a 1/2 cup of butter, which is 8 tablespoons. So we need a 1/4 cup, which is 4 tablespoons. Check the way the butter is wrapped. You can see it's not always perfectly centered, so check that out before you cut it. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm just going to go a little bit over since it wasn't wrapped perfectly. My butter is right out of the refrigerator, so it's pretty hard. I'm going to put it in my bowl and melt it in the microwave. It's very important, you just want it melted. You don't want it bubbling, boiling hot, because we're going to mix that with an egg, and we don't want to end up cooking our egg. So just melt the butter enough, even if it still has like a lump in it, you can still stir it up and make that little lump melt when you're done. So I'm going to start off maybe with 15 seconds and check it. The butter took 30 seconds to melt, And so I'm going to pour my melted butter into a bigger bowl. Then I need 1 egg. And I need half a can of pumpkin puree. This is a 15-ounce can. And so kitchens 1 and 2 should share 1 can. 3 and 4, 5 and 6 share a can. So half a can per kitchen. So we know that there are 16 ounces in a cup, 8 ounces in a cup. So this is not quite 2 full cups. And it's pumpkin puree. They do sell pumpkin pie filling, which looks almost the same, but you want to make sure you got just the pumpkin puree because we are adding our own sugar and our own spices. So get the pumpkin puree, and you want less. You can see this is not a perfectly full cup. It's less than a full cup, but that will help you divide the 1 can between 2 kitchens. So I have my egg, my melted butter, just under a cup of pumpkin. And I'll mix that together. Break up my egg. Actually, I think I'll use the whisk. And then the muffin mixing method we know is to pour the liquid ingredients into the dry. So now that that's evenly combined, I'll pour my liquid into my dry. Make a well first. And as with all quick bread batters, you do not want to overmix. So stir it just until it's incorporated. And once you don't have any more lumps of flour, then you stop mixing. Don't keep stirring and stirring and stirring, because then your muffins will come out tough because it develops the gluten in the flour too much. Gluten is the protein, and that can make your muffins tough. So stir just until, now I still see a few little specks of flour, but that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and get my butterscotch chips and add those in, and then it'll get mixed up the rest of the way. I wanted to mention that half a cup of pumpkin is one of your vegetable servings for the day if you just ate the pumpkin. And it has 300% of your daily vitamin A, 2% of your daily vitamin C, 4% iron, 2% calcium, and 4% of vitamin E. So very nice and healthy for you. Now I am going to fold in a half cup of butterscotch chips. And of course, this is not the healthy part of it, the white flour and the sugars that we have in here, but we're doing this for a Halloween treat. So folding in half cup of the butterscotch chips. When you fold, you scrape down along the bottom, bring it up over the top, turn the bowl a quarter turn, and do it again. Scrape along the bottom, fold to the top, turn a quarter turn. So you want to delicately fold in your chips so that you're not overmixing your batter, because we don't want our muffins to be tough. Okay, that's all it takes. Don't overmix. The recipe called for this recipe to make 24 mini muffins or 12 regular muffins. So I wanted to just try it out and make sure the timing worked on everything. So I'm going to try it with wrappers and without wrappers. But I'm going to spray spray my pan. And then you're going to, whether you're using mini or regular size, you're going to fill them about 3/4 of the way full. So I'm experimenting with how much time it's going to take. The recipe said 10 to 12 minutes for the mini muffins, but I want to see, and if you get any batter like I did there, make sure you wipe it off because otherwise it will burn and you don't want to smell the burning batter. But it said the mini muffins bake for 10 to 12 minutes. So I want to experiment and see how long the larger muffins need to bake. So you just want to fill your muffins about 3/4 of the way full. That one's a little on the full side. So you'll go through this process until you get them full. And if you have any leftover empty muffin tins, what you need to do, let's assume that I'm going to leave this one empty. You want to fill that halfway full with water. And the reason that you do that is if I baked just 6 large regular sized muffins, I'll put water in here and here as well. If I left these empty without water, these would heat faster and would cause these muffins here to bake faster as well. And we don't want that to happen. So if you have any empty muffin tins, you fill them with water about halfway full. Bake your muffins at 350 degrees for 10 to 15 minutes for the mini muffins. Halfway through our baking time, which I'm going with 5 minutes, you're going to rotate your muffins so that they bake evenly, and note that we have the racks divided so that the muffins are in the middle of the oven. Alright, 10 minutes has gone by, so I am checking to see if a toothpick comes out clean, and I'm not real happy with that, I don't think. No, there's still a little bit of batter on there, so I'm going to go ahead and put them in for another 2 minutes. The mini muffins took 12 minutes to bake and the large muffins took 18 minutes.